Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video on the 12th day of January 2021. It's weather for Weather Geeks, and you know me, I'm not going to shy away from a forecast bust, and that's what we had today. This was a bust today because the clouds did not break. This stratus deck of clouds hung tough all day and kept temperatures mostly in the 20s. A good 7 degrees cooler than I thought it would be for today. It was actually the coolest day so far in 2021, but interestingly, January 12th in recent years has been very, very mild compared to the average. This is one of the crazier stats that I've looked up. I looked back at the weather records for January 12th in recent years, and look at all these balmy January 12ths, including last year we had 61, a day after hitting 70 degrees. 2018, 2017, 2013 on this list, 3 years in a row. Back between 2005 and 2007, all very warm with temperatures in the 50s to around 60. In fact, this list, seven of the top 11 warmest January 11ths on record have all occurred in the last 15 years. Something about the 11th, 12th, 13th of the month. We've seen some fairly extreme warmth at this time of the year in recent years. All right, but our high today at the airport was just 30, Akron 29, Pittsburgh 29. Everyone was stuck in the clouds today. This was a very pesky, stubborn deck of stratus clouds trapped under a pretty stout inversion above our heads, trapping in that low-level moisture. And actually, we're one of the colder spots outside of mountainous areas across the lower 48 states this evening. 28 is the 6 p.m. temperature here locally. Montreal is warmer than us. Boston's warmer than us. Minneapolis is warmer than us. Billings, Montana is warmer than us. And this milder air out across the plain states, it's going to come east over the next couple of days. And certainly by Thursday, it'll be unseasonably mild around eastern Ohio and western PA. Here's a look down at the clouds today. This is a 6-hour loop from about 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The clearing nudged north and got into Pittsburgh. The sun came out in Pittsburgh before the afternoon was through, but it didn't quite make it much farther north and west than about Moon Township. That was about it. Otherwise, the region was stuck in the clouds. I showed you the national temperatures. Here's the national radar this evening, and all the action's out west, pretty much, with a pretty stout system out there producing plentiful rain and mountain snow. Pacific Northwest into the Rockies, and through the weekend, this is where the highest snow totals will be easily. The Cascade Mountains, the Bitterroot Range, out in the northern Rockies, and then there'll be some modest amounts of snow near the U.S.-Canadian border and sneaking across the Great Lakes, but amounts around here will be pretty modest. We'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second, but I do think a brighter day is coming up on Wednesday. After a cloudy start to the day, some sunshine for the afternoon. We'll try to work in. It'll be better looking than it was today, and temperatures should respond nicely. Warm front heads our way then on Thursday with a mix of sun and clouds and a little bit of a gusty southerly to southwest breeze. Hey, mid-40s. That's easily the high water mark of the week, because here's our next weather maker. It's this cold front on Friday. Now, our in-house model here is pretty fast with the precipitation with this. This might be a little too fast. I think most of this may be from midday on. This model would suggest it's mostly before midday. I think this is probably a little too aggressive, but yeah, there'll be probably some chilly rain showers, some snowflakes trying to mix in, no snow accumulation, but this will be a day in which it's kind of a transition to colder times for the upcoming weekend in the wake of this front. Now, there'll be some fast-moving disturbances from the weekend into Monday that produce the occasional bout of light snow and flurries, and at this point I can't rule out maybe some impacts over the weekend, especially after dark. We might have some slick spots. Big accumulations, no. We're going to ignore the blue line here, but two of our other medium-range models here, the regular run of the GFS and the European, both suggesting under 2 inches of snow in total for the next week. So I don't think the snow is likely to be anything to write home about, even though, again, a few slick spots might develop, depending on the timing of things over the weekend. Let's talk about the longer range. If you watched Weather Geeks last evening, I opined a little bit on February. We're still a ways away, of course, but I did want to talk about the pattern a little bit more in the next couple of weeks, and then heading into February. This is what we call the CFS, Climate Forecast System long-range modeling. It's a U.S.-produced suite of modeling, and kind of broken down into 10-day chunks. Here's from the 17th to the 27th. This is probably a pretty unsettled period for us. So roughly from this weekend through next weekend and beyond. You see some cool anomalies across the Ohio Valley into parts of the southeast. This does not look like a particularly mild period for us. Probably not super far below the average, but we may have some days where we're stuck in the 20s. Beyond that, a lot of the medium range modeling is suggesting that as we flip the calendar from January to February, the blues are going to start to disappear from the map across the eastern U.S., and the cold will be more focused in Alaska and British Columbia, Northwest Territories, and if it's cold out there, chances are it's not that cold in the eastern U.S. So you see the blues replaced by some oranges here in these 10-day chunks, fast forwarded to from the 1st of February through the 11th of February. That's the CFS, the European temperature anomalies here, European model. Kind of the same idea. Here's our coldest period, probably from around Inauguration Day, maybe then for a few days beyond that, a handful of days beyond that. And then, end of January, February, you see more warm anomalies than cool anomalies into the eastern U.S., although the European does have it briefly getting colder again, maybe right around the flip from January to February, but then the warmth takes over once again. So, if you remember from our original winter forecast, we did not exactly advertise a cold back half of winter. In fact, we talked about how the back half of winter compared to average is probably the warmer half of the winter. A warm February would go along with those ideas. Not something I'm going to take to the bank at this point, but pretty consistent modeling at this point that maybe our coldest stretch compared to the average for much of the entire winter, or at least the last 2/3 of winter, may be coming up next week and into the following week, and then after that, winter's going to kind of back off once again. So fast start to winter this year with some plentiful amounts of snow in December, even though it wasn't that cold, and then a pretty lame January so far. Things may get a little interesting for a couple of weeks, and then if current modeling has the right idea, maybe we kind of end winter on a fairly benign, mild note once again. Stay tuned. That's it for tonight. I'll see you back here on Wednesday for another edition of Weather for Weather Geeks.